Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. He has won a Super Bowl. He has led the Steelers for nearly 2 decades. And yet, after last night, he now owns one of the most uncomfortable records in NFL history. 7 straight playoff losses. This is the story behind how consistency turned into controversy in Pittsburgh. By the time the clock hit 0, Acrisure Stadium felt quiet in a way Steelers fans are not used to. This was not a close loss. This was not a missed field goal or a late turnover. This was domination. And when the night ended, it carried historic weight that hit even harder than the score itself. With this loss, Mike Tomlin officially tied Marvin Lewis for the longest playoff losing streak by a head coach in NFL history. 7 straight postseason defeats. The last playoff win for Pittsburgh came back in the 2017 season. Different quarterbacks, different coordinators, different rosters, same ending. And now, for the first time in nearly 2 decades, the city of Pittsburgh is no longer united behind its head coach. This loss did not happen in isolation. It was the breaking point of a decade-long tension that has been building quietly beneath consistent regular season success. The Steelers entered the playoffs as AFC North champions, 10 wins. Another winning season, another playoff appearance. On paper, it looked like stability. But stability without postseason success eventually stops feeling like progress. From the opening drive, it was clear Houston came prepared and Pittsburgh did not. The Texans' defense attacked early and never let up. Pressure came from every angle. The Steelers' offensive line struggled to hold blocks. Routes were disrupted. Timing never developed. By halftime, Pittsburgh had just 6 points and no real momentum. Then the mistakes piled up. A fumble returned for a touchdown, a pick six that silenced the stadium. Short fields created by defensive breakdowns. The Texans did not just outplay Pittsburgh, they overwhelmed them physically and mentally. By the third quarter, the game was no longer competitive. Fans started leaving early. The body language on the sideline said everything. This was another playoff night where the Steelers looked unprepared for the moment. This has become a familiar pattern. Since 2017, the Steelers have lost playoff games to Jacksonville, Cleveland, Kansas City, Buffalo, and now Houston. Several of those losses were blowouts. Multiple times, Pittsburgh trailed by double digits early. Several times, the season ended without a single second-half rally that suggested belief. The common thread through all of it has been Mike Tomlin. Tomlin is one of the most respected coaches in football. He has never had a losing season. He won a Super Bowl, he reached another. He has kept the Steelers competitive through roster turnover, quarterback retirements, and front office changes. But the postseason record tells a different story. 7 straight playoff losses. No playoff wins in nearly a decade. In a league defined by January success, that statistic carries enormous weight. Marvin Lewis faced similar criticism in Cincinnati. Year after year, playoff appearances. Year after year, early exits. Eventually, the Bengals decided consistency without advancement was no longer enough. Now Mike Tomlin sits in that same conversation. The city of Pittsburgh is split. One side argues that firing a coach with Tomlin's resume would be reckless. They point to the stability he brings. They point to his ability to win games with limited quarterback play. They argue that many franchises would kill for his floor. They ask a simple question. If not Tomlin, then who? The other side sees something else entirely. They see a team that shows up flat in the biggest moments. They see repeated failures to adjust. They see conservative game plans and predictable playoff performances. They see a coach who wins just enough to avoid change but not enough to contend. They argue that the standard in Pittsburgh has always been championships, not just winning seasons. The Steelers organization has long prided itself on patience. Only 3 head coaches since 1969. Stability is part of the franchise identity. Change does not come easily in Pittsburgh. But history also shows that when change does come, it usually follows extended postseason frustration. This loss reignited those conversations overnight. Talk radio exploded. Social media flooded with debate. Some fans called for immediate change, others warned against emotional decisions. Former players weighed in cautiously, acknowledging both the respect Mike Tomlin commands and the reality of the playoff results. For a franchise built on unity and patience, the public disagreement felt unfamiliar. Pittsburgh is used to standing behind its leaders. This time, the lines were clearly drawn. Even within the locker room, the silence was telling. There were no emotional speeches, no bold declarations about next year. Players spoke carefully, choosing words that reflected disappointment without pointing fingers. That restraint spoke louder than anger ever could. After the game, Tomlin did not offer defiant statements or future promises. He kept his answers short. He focused on the loss itself. When asked about his future, he declined to engage with hypotheticals, saying the moment was about evaluating what went wrong on the field. That response only fueled speculation. In a city that reads between every line, the absence of reassurance became its own message. This team was not supposed to look like this in January. The defense was expected to be physical and disciplined, built to travel and control games. Instead, it gave up short fields and momentum-changing plays that swung the game early. Missed tackles and blown assignments erased any chance of settling in. The offense was supposed to manage the game, protect the football, and lean on efficiency. Instead, it never found rhythm, never sustained drives, and never applied pressure. The Texans, meanwhile, played loose and confident. They attacked matchups without hesitation. They trusted their preparation and their plan. They played like a team that believed it belonged on that stage, while Pittsburgh looked like a team still searching for answers. That contrast stood out sharply. Houston earned its first road playoff win in franchise history. Pittsburgh added another line to its growing list of postseason disappointments. The gap between expectations and results felt wider than ever. The question now is not whether Mike Tomlin is a good coach. That debate has been settled for years. His resume speaks for itself. The question is whether this era has reached its ceiling. Can the Steelers break this playoff drought under the same leadership, or has familiarity turned into stagnation? Some point to roster construction. Others point to quarterback instability since Ben Roethlisberger retired. Those factors matter, but other teams have navigated similar transitions and still found postseason success. The standard in Pittsburgh is not simply to reach January, it is to advance. As the offseason begins, every decision will be viewed through that lens. Coaching staff changes, scheme adjustments, personnel moves. Even Tomlin's future will be discussed in ways that once seemed unthinkable. This loss changed the conversation. 7 straight playoff losses is no longer just a statistic. It is a symbol of unmet expectations, a reminder that consistency without growth eventually becomes its own kind of failure. Whether the Steelers choose continuity or change, one truth remains clear. The margin for patience is shrinking. And for the first time in a long time, the Tomlin era is no longer untouchable. The drought is real, the pressure is real, and the next move will define the future of one of the NFL's most storied franchises.